Good afternoon, everybody. Have the privilege of standing here with Senator Gaines, Mayor Johnson, and with numerous leaders of the greater Sacramento region to say what I think everybody already knows. This region stands squarely behind the mayor and his efforts to keep the Sacramento Kings in Sacramento. Our message is the same as last year, the year before, and a message, frankly, that this community has made and put forward in various ways over 27 years. This is a community that cares, that stands together, that on fundamental questions of our economic future, our arts, our culture, our sports, that we're willing to fight. We're willing to fight for what is right, and we're willing to fight for this team and our economic future. And this is no breaking news, I don't think, because it's a reiteration and a reaffirmation of what we have stood for a long time. But the message is to all those who are in a position to make decisions, and to those who would want to take this asset from the greater Sacramento region. We're in this to win this last and final chapter and assure that the future of this franchise and all that comes with it is in the great city, county, and region of Sacramento. And we thank the mayor collectively for being the lead and for doing everything to help assure a successful outcome. And it will be successful. Senator Gaines?
Great. Thanks, Senator.
Yeah, thank you. We are going to fight to keep the Kings in Sacramento. I'm a season ticket holder for 26 years with my family. I'm looking forward to my children having the opportunity to enjoy the Sacramento Kings playing here. And the mayor has done just a tremendous job. I think we're blessed to have Mayor Johnson in his position at this moment in history, given his talent and his ability to work with the NBA. So we're going to fight hard. We're going to hang on to this team. We've got a great community. We've got great regional outreach, as you can see behind me. Several elected officials here from the region willing to stand up to hang on to the Kings. Thank you.
I want to thank you for coming out. I want to first of all thank Senator Steinberg and Senator Gaines. As we've said all along, this is bipartisan. This is about business and labor. It's bigger than basketball. And we stand here today as a region saying we want our community asset, the Sacramento Kings, to be a part of this community for many, many years to come. And this is a very powerful statement that we're collectively making here at the state capitol. Senator Steinberg opened up his office. You had about 20 plus people who could make it here today. There are a lot of electeds who couldn't make it because they had other conflict, but are very supportive of what we're trying to do here. So again, as a mayor, they're giving me far too much credit. The only reason we're in this position today is because all of us have been doing our part to show how much we appreciate the Kings. You've heard us talk about our play to win strategy. Number one, find local ownership group. We've done that. Number two, surfacing equity partners and investors, which we'll do in the not too distant future. Number three, partner with anybody who wants to do a downtown partnership arena. And then thirdly, to talk about the viability and the strength of our market. And that's what you see here. You see a very strong region standing together collectively for the betterment of our community. And I just want to say thank you to everybody here, city, county, folks around the region, the state, and I'm hoping Roger will say a word or two, because collectively, this is what the NBA knows. And I said this to you guys yesterday. Never in the history of a sport have you taken a team out of a city that's done everything that it was asked of it. They asked us 2 years ago to come up with more corporate participation. We did it. They asked us last year to come up with a financing plan for an arena. We did it. Prior to that, we have a history of having the best fans in the NBA. Over a 27-year period, we've sold out 19 seasons. No other team can claim that. And in those 19 seasons, only 10 of them did we make the playoffs. So we don't have fair weather fans. This is a viable market. You see what takes place in Oklahoma City. When you have a community and ownership group that's committed to a product that's solid on the court, you can do amazing things. That's what's happening in Oklahoma City, and we expect to do the same thing here in Sacramento. So again, thank you very much, and I'd love for a couple other of the region leaders to come on up and speak.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I want to thank the mayor for all his efforts, because he represents exactly what all of us as elected officials feel. Some of us have been at this for a few years, but we recognize, as do literally hundreds of thousands of Sacramento, that the Sacramento Kings are an important part of our regional identity, and they are a major economic asset to our region. What we've known for some time is that we need a fresh start and an ownership that is committed to Sacramento. I'm persuaded and convinced that we will have that ownership to propose to the NBA Board of Governors. And so the message that we want to send collectively to the Board of Governors and to the NBA in general is that this is a community where it makes sense to maintain a franchise, because we have shown over the years how committed we are to the Sacramento Kings and what they mean to our community. It's not just a message that the NBA owners can reinforce for our community here in Sacramento, but it's one that can be sent across the country for cities and counties and families and children everywhere, that it makes a difference when you do what you're asked to do, when you deliver what you're asked to deliver, then you earn the right to keep your team in your town. It's what happened with the San Francisco Giants in 1992, when the Major League Baseball owners said, we're going to keep the Giants in San Francisco because that loyalty, that commitment, and that dedication means something to baseball fans across the country. And the NBA owners can send that same message on behalf of those who love basketball across the United States and beyond.
Thank you. Linda?
Senator, thank you. Just like the senator here, my husband and I are also original season ticket holders. And we've got grandkids who have learned to be better basketball players as little kids simply because they have been to the Kings games with us. But this is just as important to Rancho Cordova as it is to downtown Sacramento or West Sacramento right across the river. Last night at the game, I ran into two people who actually work at the arena. And we ran into several people, other residents, who were just there to see the game the way we were. Two of the partners that the mayor has gone out and enlisted to help put forward a local expression are headquartered in Rancho Cordova. And those people employ people who live and work in Rancho Cordova, and they do business with other people who live and work in Rancho Cordova. This is truly a regional thing, as everyone has said. It has to do with retaining the critical civic assets that we have that none of us want to lose, because that's what makes this region, the Sacramento region, what we are. Thank you, Senator.
Mike?
Thank you. I'm Chris Turkebald, the mayor of the city of West Sacramento. We are extraordinarily strong supporters of this effort, not because and not only because this region has done everything it needs to, everything it's been asked to do. This isn't a charity case. This is a case of the capital city of the 9th largest economy on the planet fighting to make sure that we retain one of our critical assets. We don't have our backs up against the walls. We're not on the ropes. We are a strong region with economic and political strength to make this happen, and we will. It's been tough in our region. All of us have been beaten down over and over and again by an ownership group that's made this an extraordinarily difficult franchise to support, and yet the fans, the governments, the businesses, the corporations, the 20-plus folks who have signed up for the limited partnership have said repeatedly and strongly, we're back. We're backing this team. We're going to make sure that they stay here in the Sacramento region. Of course it matters to the strength of our regional economy, to our workforce, to our downtown development. We've got the site and the location and the plan for constructing a new arena. But this anchor for entertainment in our region, for corporate recruitment in our region, for employment, for economic power in our region is too critical for us to lose. In an economy in a region of our strength, we aren't going to let it happen.
Amen.
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 Who else wants to speak? Go ahead.
Yeah, I love following Christopher. That's always a lot of fun. Very briefly, we're here because it is time for the leaders, the political leaders and business leaders in the entire region to step up and forcefully say to the broader audience out there, to the NBA especially, and perhaps the folks in Seattle, that we're solid on this. We concur with Mayor Johnson's efforts. Not we concur. We wholeheartedly support them. We can do this. We're going to do this. We're going to keep the Kings in Sacramento, and we're going to enjoy their championship seasons that are just over the horizon. So stay in Sacramento. Go Kings.
Ken Cooley, Assemblyman here in Sacramento County. We're all working to keep the Kings here, to be a part of our region's future as an economic engine, as something that lends inspiration to kids as they grow up. Part of having an NBA team here, and we're grateful for the NBA's presence. Year by year, this club has invested in the community, has brought assets in the community where kids grow up to make a difference in their lives, totally apart from the game itself. They've been a great part of the fabric of the community. It would be a damn shame if on a day when the governor's vision, as expressed today, is a hopeful vision of California to look to build a better future and invest in it, then the capital city, as my good colleague Christopher Cabaldon in West Sac, the NBA walked away from this community, or aided and abetted a club from walking away. This has been a great community asset. It's a good club. It's been here a long time. It's a part of the fabric of so many lives. As my colleague Linda Budge mentioned, this is where California is happening. There's a dynamism in California today that's unfolding. It's in the governor's office, in the legislature, and the voters of the state of California, and it's in every city council and council chamber in the region, and the NBA should want to be a part of it. It's going to be a great tomorrow, and we want to see the Kings a part of it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Beth, why don't we stand for a few questions?
Senator Steinberg, can I ask you about your letter to the panel services?
Sure.
What exactly do you plan on using that information?
Well, I want to see what the information is first before I think about and consult with colleagues to determine if there's an appropriate public policy response. As I said a day or two ago, there is something not quite right, in my view, about an individual, I don't know, and I'm sure he's a fine guy and great person, great business person, but something that doesn't feel right about making money, working directly with the state of California, in fact, having some of their largest contracts with the state of California, at the same time using at least some of those gains or profits to try to move a major asset out of the state of California in its capital city. And I raised the questions. I've heard from constituents, mostly supportive, a few critical, but I stand by the letter, because just like all of the folks standing behind me, we're elected to fight for our communities. And that's what we are all doing here. We would be, and I would be, negligent, frankly, if I didn't do everything within, the power I have for the temporary period of time that I have it, to try to help the community that I've been elected to represent. So we'll get the information, and we'll analyze it, and then determine if there's an appropriate public policy response. No, I don't think that's the point. No, we're not looking to modify existing contracts, but again, there's a lot of future contracts, I suppose, and I'm not in that position, because the legislative branch of government does not execute contracts or decide who the contractors should be. I just, again, think that there is an inconsistency between deciding you're going to partner with California on one end and make a lot of money, and at the same time, you take some of that money and you use it to rip a key asset out of the capital city. That's all.
Sorry. One more time.
Most of the minority owners have Sacramento the non-Warren. Have you been in talks with him at all about him possibly keeping his stake and not selling it? And the second part is, you brought up Larry Ellison yesterday. Have you been in talks with him at all about being part of an ownership group with him?
Yeah, so the first part, in terms of Heinrich, he's a part of the general partnership, which is a 65%. So I think all indications are leading us to believe that that is what Chris Hansen is buying, that 65%. The limited partners in Sacramento that make up the 35%, two of them are strongly committed to Sacramento. A third one has interest and investment in Sacramento. So our commitment and their commitment to me is they're going to do everything they can to be a part of what we do in Sacramento as well. Now, they're precluded from making a whole lot of public statements and comments because obviously a deal is pending. Secondly, in terms of Larry Ellison, you guys asked me that question in context about a highest bidder, and I just gave an example of the highest bidder doesn't always win, or the most wealthiest bidder doesn't always win as well, and I think that was the case in Golden State a couple years ago. I don't want to get into whom all we spoke to or whose bids that we're entertaining at this point. I feel like it's my responsibility to protect their interests, but as I said yesterday, we're making very good progress and every discussion is very serious, and I do believe we'll be in a position hopefully next week to unveil who the two big or three or four that we've been looking at over time and who ultimately we're going to go forward with.
Mayor, what about the right to refusal? Have you guys legally looked at that and where it stands? I know every NBA team has different contracts. Do you believe that's a possibility if they bring in money, new investors from that board?
Yeah, I think number one for us in Sacramento, we're just trying to worry about what we can do here in Sacramento. We're worrying about creating an environment that we can play to win in our community. Secondly, as it relates to the rights of first refusal, I would have to really I think the appropriate people to address that question is the limited partners or the trustee for the Bob Cook estate that's in bankruptcy right now. That's really their issue to resolve. For us, we want to just make sure we're on the offense and we can do everything that we can to create a competitive and fair offer to keep our team here in Sacramento.
Could that be a strategy, though, going forward?
It very well could be, but from my vantage point, we're trying to make sure when I talk about playing to win from our vantage point, it's getting local owners, which we have. It's getting equity investors, which we hope to unveil in the not too distant future. It's to make sure we have a downtown partnership deal for an arena, and it's to make sure we talk about the strength of our market. The limited partners, though, and the estate, the person who's in charge of the estate on the limited partnership side for Bob Cook certainly can execute plays and strategy. What does it do? We all know this. It's going to create a little bit more of a mess up in Seattle. It's going to make things, it's mucking it up a little bit. We get that, but that's not how we're playing. We're trying to do what we need to do, and I think from our vantage point, it's a competitive advantage. We're ready to go. We have a building, we have a public investment, and we're ready to go in Sacramento. I want to thank, again, everybody here, but I want to thank Senator Steinberg in particular, because asking questions that are in the best interest of California is exactly what we want our elected officials to do. There's all this talk about California. It's tough to do business in California. The regulatory challenge in California. It doesn't make any sense. And we see month after month businesses leaving California. All of us are going to fight like crazy. It doesn't matter what part of the state you're in. We all collectively have a responsibility to fight to retain as many businesses as we can in California, and we're going to do that collectively. This one just so happens to be in the area and the community that we're from. And, that's awesome for us to be able to put a stake in the ground. All right. Yes, it happened, and I can tell you nothing about it. No, I'll give you something. Yeah, we spoke this morning, and I basically updated him on where we are in Sacramento. I talked about the local community stepping up to the degree that it has. I told him that we're going to have a meeting with the regional leaders here. I talked about how Senator Steinberg and Senator Gaines have put forward a bipartisan commitment to make sure that we're talking around our region, which typically does not happen in the NBA, where we have a commitment at the state and all the way down. I told them in terms of our equity investors that we're making good progress on that. We'd like to be in a position to unveil and bring those folks forward in the not too distant future. And he said, okay, keep doing what you do.
Did he specify a time frame that he's considering? How much time is he giving?
No, that was the nature of the conversation.
Did he give you the last to say approximately?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we didn't talk on the phone an hour, and it was longer than a couple minutes. Yeah.
Did he give you any direction on what things he would like to see when you go to the board?
No, this was really just an update on, it's kind of a status report on where we are right now in Sacramento. I know the big deadline is March 1st. I know that mid-April is another important deadline. We know that, but again, our job right now is to, again, the play to win strategy. We need to bring forward our equity investors and then talk about an arena downtown and then talk about our market, and that's kind of the strategy that we're laid out. All right, everybody, what do you think?
Thanks a lot, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's good.
Good job.
I want to.